next pulse then, which is 32, is called Oahspe, and it represents, it's the caliper compass. It represents the creation of entity. By creation of entity is meant this. Well, we'll give it to you in an abstract understanding that you have a blank field, and in that field there's no differentiation. Undifferentiated field, and some might look at it and say, oh, it's chaos, or however they're going to look at it, but we know that there's system and order and all that in there. But when you introduce the Oahspe, the circle, which will draw a circle, it delineates between something that's here now and there's something and out here in the field. It differentiates it from the field. It becomes an entity. It becomes a thing. And this individual, or person, that was differentiated, this entity, is now, this is what the preparation for was in 31, with the filling in the cracks and all that, was for this next condition of 32. This completes the same two. It's the completion of the same two. How do you measure a circle? How do you measure the area of a circle? And you actually start with triangles, and you can figure out the area of a triangle. But then when you put a triangle in a circle, as we know from same two, if you look at same two and then you have the circle around it, well, there's a lot of area in here that's not counted when you calculate the area of the triangle. So if we shot a line up to the zenith, and we shot a line over here to the horizon, or for you over here, let's shoot a line over here to this horizon, and that's a triangle right there, and we can figure out, mathematically, we can figure out the area in this triangle. But then this part out here, out of the arc, from that chord here, on that side of the triangle, as it goes down over to the horizon and up to the zenith there, this part here, up between the arc and that chord, that area, we haven't measured that. But if we start shrinking that triangle, then the area that's not counted becomes quite small. And if we stack a bunch of these next to each other, all these tiny triangles, and then we'll find out that instead of having this whole area not counted for, we have almost no area that's not accounted for in the circle. And we can do this and keep making the triangles from the center of the circle out to the edge smaller and smaller and smaller until, theoretically, until they reach their limit, and then we can figure out what the area of the circle is. The completion of the circle of the entity has to do with these triangles, with the same two. It has to do with essentially becoming a complete synthesis. The complete synthesis of entity, we could say. 32 is the objectification of 21, of the Oki. And it's also the synthesis of completeness, which was number 10. And so 32 is a synthesis of 10, Sutha, the completeness, and number 21, the Oki, the house, the home. And so the synthesis of those two, the power of those two is found in 32. It's found in the Oahspe. Now, here's the thing with Oahspe, of course, is that you can have a circle of any radius. What we find out is that in the overall creation, there are entities within entities. There's people who have different reach, a different radius. And that's indicated in number 33. Now the Enqua, or the Inqua, the thing within a thing. Some of the things that it means is that you have the soul within the spirit, within the mind. It's the first resurrection within the second resurrection, within the third resurrection, many different things. And so with number 33, with the Enqua, we have the lower foundation of the same two. It's the reflection of the same two. It's the replication of the same two, or it indicates that. It's the synthesis of the lower foundation 11 and the objectification of number 22, of the hiss. The hiss, recall, is listening, and is that the voice of Eoi, or is that the voice of Satan? And that's because in 33 we can see, then understand that 33 represents, or we can see why that is, because 33 is a thing within a thing. And so we have to perceive through different levels to understand certain things. And so we may or may not understand whether something is from self or from the light of Jehovah, until of course we progress to perceive on that subtle level, because that's the Enqua, greater and greater, subtler and subtler levels, a thing within a thing. And so, and 33 is also called, by the way, it's called the number of man, and there's a reason for that, and we'll probably touch upon that in future video. We started with the foundation, way up here at Ah, and went through the verse 11, the next 11, and now the third 11. So it's the 33rd pulse of the foundation. And it has a connection with all these different realities along the way. There's all these relationships, and we've looked at some of them, many of them, but there's a lot more relationships. But this 33 is very important, this verse 33, and it essentially it's the first third of the 99 grades that man rises through. And it can represent grade 1 through 33, from the foundation all the way up through year 33, or grade 33. And we're told in Oahspe and the Book of Knowledge, in the tablet of grade and in grade, that indeed that year of life has an equivalency to grade. In other words, as we progress from grade 1, which is for the first year, that's what the person experiences, the grade 1, the foundation, the Ah, and the going forth. And mostly during the first year, a child is receptive to that. And then in the second year, is grade 2, should be experiencing the condition of grade 2 or the O and so forth, and they go all the way up through Enqua, which is the 33. Now 33 then means that if you start off as a corporean, which we do, we start off as a corporean, and we experience corporeal things, and we get to grade 33, and we can understand that there is something beyond this. That's a perception that comes with the 33rd pulse of the foundation, that there's something beyond this. There's a life beyond corporea. There's a spiritual life, and beyond the spirit life of the spirit, there's a life of the soul and a life of the mind. And that, moreover, even though the physical body will die, who we are, our consciousness, continues living on, our spirit and our soul. And so therefore we become a part of of living in this greater field, this more comprehensive field, this subtler field that we may or may not have been aware of before we lost our physical body. But in the early days of man, not everyone understood that when we lose this physical body, that there is something out here that they can become a part of, that they need not lose who they are inside. Man grew to appreciate, to understand that he was an entity separate from everything that's out here. That's the first teaching. When you come to a new world, such as the earth was in the time of Sapantis, and the angels came down and were told to help Oahspe, the first man, holy animal man, incapable of eternal life. But the angels of Jehovah, who had never experienced a corporeal life before, went to this planet, were inspired to come to this planet by Jehovah. So they came here and they tried to help Oahspe to stand upright and to speak. But Oahspe himself had no conception, no understanding that he was differentiated, that he was differentiated from everything that's out here. It was all one. Everything was all one to Oahspe. If we look at his spirit, he was unable to comprehend this. He was unable to comprehend that yes, he would respond to things as an individual, but he couldn't understand his relationship with everything else. He didn't perceive himself as a separate entity. As a separate entity that was separate from everything else. Because in order to resurrect, that's what we need. We need to understand that we are a separate entity from everything else. We are an individual. So the sense of self that Oahspe had, he didn't have a sense of self per se. And his spirit was therefore diffuse.